What's up? Welcome back to Recovery Plugs, where we trade in our dope plugs for recovery plugs. This is my next guest, Mr. Ryan Donovan. What's up?
Not much.
Before we start, I do want to promote the event Another Chance concert. It is May 8th at Reach KC Church. That is 5445 East 29th Street, Kansas City, Missouri. I don't know the zip code. Y'all can figure that part out. I thought it was Oakley, but that is not the street. It is East 29th Street. So 5445 East 29th Street. It's Saturday, May 8th at 6 p.m. Live music. It's a free event. Free food and fellowship after the show. So come on out and have a good time. Let's hear your story, bro. That's what we came for.
All right. My childhood was actually pretty good. I grew up with my mom with 6 kids in Waterloo, Iowa. When I was real young, about 3 years old, I can remember my dad beating on my mom and putting his hands on us. And I remember we didn't have a phone, and my older brothers and sisters would go out to they would have to go to the neighbors to call the police, and they never took my dad to jail or anything like that. And I remember all the way back from whenever I was 3. And then he wasn't around for a long time. So my mom worked about 2 or 3 jobs to take care of us, and our aunts watched us. And so I was running the streets with my older brothers and sisters when I was about 6 or 7 years old at all times of the night. And I can remember I had this hole in me because my dad wasn't around. I had a lot of abandonment issues. And then when I hit about 8 years old, I started smoking cigarettes. That's where it all started. And then I remember there was a kid that was 3 years older than me. I used to hang out with them. I'd stay the night at his house and all that. And he sexually abused me when I was real young. And I just remember I never used to say it. I never told anyone about it for a long time. When I was 9 years old, that's when I started using drugs and alcohol. I didn't know it then, but I believe like the sexual abuse, my dad abandoned me is why I started doing that. I started doing marijuana and alcohol, running away from home. When I hit about 10 years old, I was getting in trouble in school, skipping school. I remember I threatened a teacher, and that's where I got put on probation when I was 10 years old. And I kept running away from home. And my dad not being around, my mom used to bring guys to the house. She was an alcoholic, so she would work all during the week, and on the weekends she would she'd go to the bar all the time. So every guy she brought in, basically us kids wasn't having it. We didn't want another guy around. So I started getting locked up when I threatened a teacher, got put on probation from 10 to 13, off and on. Then my mom got married to this guy, and he used to treat me like crap. He used to sell crack out of the house, and my mom didn't know it. And he smoked marijuana and all that, and I used to steal his drugs and do them or give them away. And my mom caught him one time, waking me up at 3 in the morning when I was doing good. Wasn't getting locked up, wasn't running away. I was going to school. Woke me up at 3 in the morning, and luckily my mom came home. He was trying to get me to run away from home, and he wouldn't say anything so his kid could take my spot in the house. And I remember whenever they got married, to flip back, I didn't show up to the wedding at all. I didn't approve of it. And so when my mom caught that, she instantly left him and all that. Rewind. I was giving him problems, and he actually got in touch with my dad. And I figured out with my dad and all that, the reason why he used to treat me like crap and all that is he was in a relationship in 1986, had my brother Aaron that lives here in Kansas City, and then he had an affair with my mom. I was born in 87, and then he got back with their mom, had Danielle in 88, so he denied me, and him and his whole family denied me, I found out later on. And so that's why he felt like I ruined his relationship with their mom. So I got back in touch with him when I was about 13, and basically he was just my friend, man. We smoked weed, we did drugs and all that together, 13, 14 years old. Um, and I remember my mom was still with that guy, and I started stealing cars. And I got locked up in the boys' prison in Iowa from 13 to 16, I believe. So I got kind of institutionalized at a young age. So when I hit 16, when I got out, I was with my first daughter's mom. She let me go live with her because she just figured she'd let me do whatever I wanted, or else I was going to get in trouble. And I did good for 2 years. And when I hit about 18, that's whenever I got caught for possession of marijuana as an adult. Because I had 3 felonies as a minor. The reason why I stayed out of trouble is because I was on probation, locked up in the boys' prison for so long. My PO said there ain't nothing else I can do with you. If you get in trouble between now and you're 18 years old, we're going to hit you with the adult charges, which was like 15 to 20 years in prison. So I stayed out of trouble for 2 years. And when I got that marijuana charge, I was with my kid's mom since I was like 15 or 16. She got pregnant. And when I was younger, I was just trying to grow up too quick. I started meth when I was about 13 or 14. I was trying to grow up too quick, so I was basically cheating on her, going out. She was all about the money, so I'd just give her money so I could leave for about a week. You know, I worked at Tyson Meats. I made good money. I had a lot of money back then. I lost it all. I wasn't there for my daughter at all. Basically, everything that I didn't want to be as my dad, I was turning into, and I didn't know it. And I got with my second kid's mother after me and my first kid's mom broke up. Basically, she would hold my kid in hand and all that from me, basically because we weren't together. My second kid's mom, I met her in my addiction. That's when I lost everything and all that. And it was a toxic relationship. We was just addicted to each other, and the drugs and all that. We had our daughter, and I got locked up. I remember I got her pregnant when I was locked up when I was like 20. I was on the run from going to jail. I was on the run for like 8 months when I got her pregnant. And I went to jail, and by the time I got out, she was going in because she was using every day. So the day before she went into jail, I got out. They sent her to a treatment in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. I picked up my stuff, and I went to a homeless shelter out there to be close to her and my kid. And my kid was born, and I prayed to God every day that she would test clean so we didn't lose our daughter. And she used every single day except the last week. And when she had her, she tested negative for everything. God answered my prayers. And I got us an apartment. I went there in a homeless shelter. I got a job. I saved up like $2,500. Got us a place, so she had somewhere to go. As soon as we got over there and she got out, the relationship was so toxic. She came back high, and I got high with her, and we were fighting. So her mom took our daughter back to Waterloo, and we was fighting so much that the cops got called. And I can remember. I used to put my hands on her a lot. I never put my hands on any woman but her. And it's not right at all. But I remember one night we was fighting, and her mom was there. Our daughter was back in Waterloo, an hour away. And her mom said, I told her I was going to drop the TV on her head. And her mom said, don't talk to my baby like don't threaten my baby like that. I said, we'll tell your baby to shut up or else I'm going to drop the TV on your head. Little did I know she was recording that. And she took it to DHS. That's what it's called there. And she said I was going to drop the TV on my daughter's head. My daughter wasn't even there. So in Iowa, when a baby's under 6 months, you have 6 months to get your kid back. You have to do all that time or else you're going to lose the kid. So it took us about a month to get our stuff right. We did good for 5 months. And come to find out, they were going to take our rights. And if we didn't sign them over, they were going to give her to the state and we would never see her again. So I signed over my rights so her mom would get her, so I'd be able to see her. That took a big toll on me, and back up to when I was 18, before, I'm going kind of fast. When I was 18, I picked up my dad for Father's Day to meet my first daughter, and he came back. He was drunk and all that, and I remember I had all this hate built up in a hole built up with him, and he was drunk, and he was talking about how it was okay that he beat up my mom and stuff like that. And I remember I beat the crap out of him, man, and I made him hitchhike back to Marshalltown. So I wasn't talking to him at the time, and so I felt like he abandoned me again. I had a real big abandonment issues with people, especially with him. So I went to prison for the first time. After all that, I ended up, my kid's mom, when she was pregnant and I was in jail, the dope man that I knew, we lived with him. I was in jail. I found out, she came up crying saying that he was shooting her up with meth and giving her the meth. I was mad about that. And he woke her up having sex with her, basically raped her or whatever. So I wanted to kill this guy, so I was chasing this guy around forever, and I couldn't catch him, man. And I remember he got caught with a couple meth labs, and I went over to his house the day after he got caught with a meth lab, and I kicked in his door and I started stealing everything. Well, cops ended up coming, and I went to jail. He pressed charges. That's how I went to prison for the first time for robbing his house. Prison wasn't nothing. I was in and out of jail anyways. As a child, I was locked up most of my childhood, from 10 to 16 basically. I was institutionalized at that point, so I didn't really care. I was going to do whatever I wanted. I never walked down probation, nothing. I've always discharged every single number I've had. I did about 8 years in my whole 20s in prison and jail. When I got out, before I went to prison, I moved my dad from Marshalltown with me. Basically, before I went to prison, I moved him with me, and basically back then, God was kind of working in my life then, even in my addiction. I had to forgive him for me and not him, and that's what I did. And I started building a relationship with him, and I ended up messing up and going to prison, and I put him with a friend back in Waterloo to live with, and he got sick and he died when I was in prison. And it crushed me, man, because I was building a relationship with him, and I felt like he died alone and all that. And when I got out of prison, I got back with the same baby mom, and that relationship was just so toxic. I started using again right away, and I asked my PO to put me back in prison. He said he wasn't going to put me back in prison until I caught a new charge. So I ended up putting my hands on her and caught a new charge. I seen some pretty messed up stuff through a window, and I ended up going back to prison on that. And when I got out, I have my brother and sister here. They got in contact with me in 2007. And basically, that's how I figured out Kansas City. I came here in 2008, and I would come here whenever I wanted to get off drugs, and then I would go back. I'd come here to get off drugs, go back. In about 2016, I was just so strung out. Waterloo was like the death of me, man. All my friends were dying. Either they were getting murdered and making it look like an accident, or they were just straight up getting murdered or overdosing. It was just, I had nothing there. And I wanted to get right for me and my kids. So my mom put me on a bus, and I came here. I came here with just my clothes and me. I went to the Salvation Army ARC in 2016. And I was there for about 4 months, and I met Chucky Boom Harrington at that place. He ended up leaving there and going to a place called the Maple House. I got into it with him about 2 weeks later, and at the Salvation Army, and I called Chucky, and I called Matt Carlson, and that's whenever I went over to the Maple House, man, and that's where it all started for me. At first, everything I thought was bull crap, but I remember my sponsor, Brian Marshall, telling me at the time, you did this for so long, just give this a chance and see if it works. And I wasn't fully surrendered with God, but it helped me find God. I knew that there was a God growing up and all that stuff, but I just didn't have a relationship with him. And AA kind of made me have a relationship with him. And I kept on going in and out. At some point, Lester's my sponsor. I mean, he messaged me this morning. He said there was a time that I thought that you were never going to get this thing, and look where we're at now. You know, and that was the truth. A lot of people thought that I was obnoxious. I would go in for about 6 months to the Maple House. I go back out and start using. It's because I wasn't fully doing the program there and having my dependence and reliance upon God. I did that for a couple years. And then about, when was it, 2019? Met Crystal, and it was through one of your videos. I remember I relapsed pretty hard, and I had 9 months clean. I was working at the Healing House. Barbie Daniels got me in the recovery work. I did it at 3 months sober. I didn't have enough sober time, and I think that's what did it. But on my 9 month clean, I relapsed pretty hard. I was going in and out of the Maple House, and me and Brian was pretty close, so he would let me come right back. I remember it was your video, Cutting Ties, and I posted it. And that's how I met my wife. I posted your video, and I remember somebody else shared it. That was her friend and my friend, and she was posting on it and wanted to know about it, so I instant messaged her. And we were friends going to church and stuff like that. And I remember I relapsed pretty hard again. And I stopped talking to everybody. I was going to go back to Iowa. I went up to 40 Highway, had all my stuff up there at the Stadium Motel, and I was just getting high nonstop. And I remember I got miserable within that 3 days of being high, more miserable than I ever have. And I know now it's because I had some of the program. Every time I left the program, I always took a piece of it, and getting high wasn't even fun, so it was less and less time. But also, what connected me with God way before that was Dominic Tata. I went to the Miracle House, and he got me real connected with God. He's one of my best friends today, man. He teaches me a lot, and he has a lot to do with my recovery as well. Push forward. Whenever I did that for 3 days, I remember she's like, "Why'd you stop talking to me?" Blah, blah, blah. And I told her I got high, and it was kind of like God crossed our paths. And I didn't know it then, but I had nowhere to go. I've already been to every detox, and to get back into Maple House, I had to go to detox, is what Brian was saying. And basically, he took me to a hospital, and they wouldn't accept me. And my wife said, 2 years ago, she said, "You're coming to my house and detoxing." And I say she saved my life, but she gives it to God. You know, he's the one who did that. And we've been together ever since. I went and detoxed at her house, went back to the Maple House, and I just started digging into the program, man. I started doing the steps correctly. I hit my knees every morning, every night, make my bed. I started doing everything that it told me, follow direction. I never liked to follow direction. I wanted to do half-ass and do the rest my way, and that wasn't working, man. I had to hit my bottom and be at that place in my life to where I wanted to do right. And so when I started doing that, I ended up moving out, and I asked her to marry me right away. It wasn't just, you know, puppy love or anything. Like, it was like God was telling me, like, she was the one. So God was talking to me a lot, you know. He has strengthened my relationship with him. So I asked her to marry me. We got married in October, and I believe she got pregnant in June, wasn't it? June of 2019. And I was very happy. I had my life in order. I wasn't there for neither one of my kids, but I was rebuilding those relationships, you know. Even from here, them being in Iowa, I'm a better dad here doing whatever I got to do than I was being back there. So I was ready for this. Was getting all the baby stuff, and then we go to an appointment, and she had no amniotic fluid, so they had to go deeper in, and they they figured out that she basically had no kidneys, and with no kidneys, it wouldn't develop his lungs and all that. So they said it was 100% fatal. And I just remember going home, being mad at God, and because I was all ready for this, ready to be a parent, do it the right way, and it crushed me, man. They gave us 3 options. 2 was to kill him. I didn't believe in that and my faith in God. I said we only got 1 option, and that's to go full term and let it play out how God wanted him to play out. So he was born in February of last year. We had all the family there. He passed away. He lived for 83 minutes. We all got to hold him. Diana posted, this is how I know God works. Without AA, I would have never found God. That's why I do both, man, and I have to go back to both. Just like she said in hers, I can't do one without the other. I remember I was talking to Diana Poston, and we was trying to figure out names, and she said God was giving her a calling, saying stuh. So she was thinking Stephen, and I was like, ah. And then 10 minutes later, we got to talking over the phone about what our names meant biblically. And basically, she said Crystal meant that her name was a rock, so she was my rock. And then she said my name meant Little King. And I never got it until after he passed away, and they got a molding of his foot, and it has a K on it. I was like, whoa, his name was supposed to be Kingston, for real. And then I remember the conversation with Diana when she said God was telling her stuff, and then 10 minutes later she said my name meant Little King, Kingston. And I remember that just put a whole relief in me that he was okay and that he was in heaven, and he was put here to be a testimony for us to give out. And I knew God was working on my life then, because something like that, I went out and got high and just said screw everything. But I was mad at God for like a week, but it made me closer with God. I put K-Love on the radio, and I don't listen to nothing else still today. That's all I listen to is Christian music. It just brought me real closer. And then my boss killed himself about a month later, and that crushed me too, man. It was just like everything was falling down on me when my life was getting good. And my son passed away, and then my boss, and I had to rely on God for that. And that's when I decided that I set the recovery work down for a while, that I wanted to get back into that. That was my passion. I want to help people, show them where I was at and where they could be. If I could do it, they could do it. So Crystal's working at Benilde Hall, so she said call Ken Vick. He gave me a job right away. I work at Benilde Hall as a night monitor. I became a head monitor, supervisor for the night. I got my Mars there. I'm going for my CPS. I just love working there. They teach me the other side of like the mental health and stuff like that. I can run groups and stuff like that. It's just amazing on the other side of the recovery. Like stuff I didn't agree with before, they kind of brought it to light. Ken Vick and Aaron did on what this means and why it is, and it makes sense to me. It's pretty cool to see that kind of recovery on the other side. I asked Lester Decker to be my sponsor once I found out, and that was just a blessing. He's like my best friend. I love Lester. I could talk to him about anything, but I had a lot of people die last year. Chris Shaw, he died. People were just dying left and right, and then my best friend Chucky died. He was doing good for so long. When God, that crushed me. I didn't think that would ever happen. I was mad at God again, and I don't know. I just thought he would always be here, so I don't know. It just sucked seeing him go through that, because he was doing so good and being happy, and he went back out, and he passed away. I don't know. I leaned on God for that too, and the only thing I could do to give back for that, I knew he was okay at his funeral when we took pictures. there's like this picture of this shadow, and it was just an outline of him, and I knew he was there, so I knew he was okay. And how I get back for that, we take his daughter all the time, and we get her Christmas, and she stays at our house, and that's how I try to get back on that. Today, I just lean on the program. My wife has a big part of my recovery. She makes me a better person. She points out things whenever because I'm not perfect, I'm still learning this and growing. She points out a lot of things, and she's just my best friend and makes me see things whenever I don't want to see them. I go to the Maple House still. Everything I do today is in recovery, It's basically my story.
Made my job easier. I have to ask a lot of questions. You answered a lot.
Yeah.
How's your relationship with your kids?
My kids, I go back and I see them all the time. I talk to them over the phone every day. My oldest will be 15. She has a job. She's in that age. But, she has I believe she has a lot of resentments from me not being there and all that, which is normal. My youngest, I still get to see her. She's going to be 11. Her grandma still lets me see her. Basically, I see them when I can. I try to go back there 3 or 4 times a year, and sometimes they come here and stay. My whole family, they just see me as a different person. Like my brother Zach, when I go there, I was never allowed in his house. My older brother, now I'm allowed there anytime I want. I can go there and I can just walk in his house and I can stay there. It just feels pretty good that they see the change. There's other people in my family that they can't get over the past, but all I can do is just wait on them. I got to meet them where they're at. And that's what I've learned this last week with my little brother. So
this is in Waterloo you're talking about?
Yeah. They came here to visit, and my brother was here, and he has a lot of resentments is what I found out from the past. And so I just got to meet people where they're at is what I learned last week, because I just didn't understand because I changed my life. But I did a lot of messed up stuff to him, so I got to give him time to, get over that stuff.
I remember you when you were obnoxious. And
I'm still a little obnoxious.
I mean, it is what it is. I remember being, I was in the Maple House. I used to go to the meetings a lot when you were first coming around. You were in Chucky Boone.
Yeah.
Yeah, his death was a surprise for sure.
Yeah, and the thing was, he was coming back. He didn't die from his addiction. He died from a blood clot. And that's what killed me, And I felt so bad because he was living with me, and I kicked him out because he started using. I had to kick him out. So then when he passed away, I kind of blamed myself. And I do that for about a week, but somehow, some way, I lean on God, and I get a closer relationship with God, and I just grab a hold of Him. Everything's for a reason,
So you got about 5 people here that ask questions.
Okay.
First one is Steven Henke. He wants to know what's the most important thing that you do in your daily routine.
Most important thing I do?
Yeah.
I work third shift, but I do pray to God. And I just know that what a bad day looks like is basically what it is. I pray. I make my bed. I go to work every day. It's mostly praying with God and keeping a connection with God.
What's up? Erin, your supervisor. She said, how awesome is your supervisor? Yeah, I mean, that was the first part of her question anyways.
They're pretty awesome, actually. Her and Ken Vick are amazing. Like, when they give me criticism, I kind of get down on myself a little bit, but I just say okay. And at the end of the light, I see where they were going with it. They kind of make me grow in my recovery work and in my recovery in that field, and I appreciate them. So I don't try to take the criticism bad. I try to learn from it. They teach me a lot there.
She wants to know, other than staying free of substances, what does recovery actually mean to you?
What does it actually mean to me?
Yeah, recovery.
Having a good inside condition, being happy, because I can remember before I was miserable on the inside and I had a hole in me. Today I feel complete in recovery.
That's what's up. Lester wants to know, what are the things that enhance your sobriety today?
Enhance my sobriety?
Mm-hmm.
I have a sponsee that I got all the way through the steps. I ain't never done that. I mean, talking to him and people coming to me with their it helps me stay sober more than they know. At my job, people come talk to me. It's really helping others and see the light bulb come on in their head. Going to meetings and seeing people from where they started till like 3 months from now, it just really strikes me. It helps me more than they think.
So when you finally did surrender everything to God, what kind of fears did you have to overcome? That's what Gina wants to know.
What kind of fears did I have to overcome? Worrying about the future, really. Just letting God take it, and just living the moment today.
And your wife, she says, what promises could you see while you were going through the death of your son and your best friend Chucky?
The promises? At first, I didn't understand it. I just know that they're a testimony from God. They were put here. My son, he's a testimony in itself, because when we tell that story, it helps other people. They went through that and they stayed sober through all that. And same thing with Chucky. Something like that I would have went and used. That crushed me. He was a testimony too. He had a lot of people at his funeral, man, and he helped a lot of people. So just basically their testimonies. Well, we can sit there and say those testimonies that we went through that and we stayed sober and we relied upon God. That's what helped me through that with the promises.
She also wants to know, what would you say to someone struggling who has never experienced the hand of AA or does not know who Jesus is?
What would I say? Man, I thought you only had one question. So read it over.
What would you say to someone who is struggling, who has never experienced the hand of AA or does not know who Jesus is?
What would I say to him? I would just ask him, I would just say, I'm going to say what Brian Marshall said to me. I did this for so long, give this a chance, and at the end of it, if I think the same, then go back to doing whatever I was doing. Because I know whenever I got through it all and did it all at the end, I didn't think the same, and I didn't want to go back to that. Like I said, every time I went back in and out of AA and I learned more, when I went back out, it just... The time span I got more miserable and miserable. I didn't want to be out there like that.
So I watched you come in and out of the meetings early on in your recovery, or actually before your recovery and during it. I noticed that you had a very pessimistic attitude towards the program, towards everything that was going on. You kind of laughed at a lot of things and didn't really take a lot of stuff seriously. What was it that finally... What was it? Can you remember what it was in the meetings that finally clicked? Where you were just like, yeah, okay, now I understand. I can relate to this.
I think back then I thought it was all bull crap.
Yeah, I know. I've seen that. That's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
When did it not become bull crap?
When did it not? That last time I was out, I was walking on 40 highway with a stick, thinking everybody was after me. Man, I just hit my bottom there, and I just knew whatever I was doing, I needed to do the program 100%, because every time I half-assed it, I always went right back out, and I didn't want to live like that no more.
So when during working the program did you feel the change? Like something was different? Like this, I'm different.
When?
Yeah.
I'd say whenever I got my year clean. I ain't never had a year in my whole life, except before I started using drugs. When I hit my year clean, it was a big mark. And today I got 2 years.
I was going to say, speaking of years, how many years you got?
I got 2 years today.
That's what's up.
Now it's just like, I tell my story and all that to help other people. It ain't for me, it's for them, So I commend the people that get 24 hours than whatever I got, because it took a lot for them to come back in and be ashamed to admit that they have a problem.
Yeah, it's a hard one.
It was my year.
2 years now. That's cool. That's what's up. That's something to be proud of.
You owe me dinner.
I was thinking like maybe McDonald's, or I know Church's got a good cheap menu too.
I already ate there. I'm just kidding.
Well, that's it, man. I'm trying to think. There's not really nothing else. You did it. Is there anything you want to tell a newcomer?
A newcomer?
Before you go? Yeah.
there's always a way out. There's a better life than what you're living. That's it.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.